What's going on, and welcome to another edition of Oil and Gears. Today we're going to add a Rockville amp into the Scion XB. Now last week you saw that I added a 10-inch radio and I bought them at the same time. Now the system that I have in this car actually was in cars in previous years. Now this system was actually in my first Scion XB back in 2005. 210s, 400 watt Rockford punch. The wiring I'm not going to show from the battery on how to do that. There's many other videos on how to do that. I'll just show you what it looks like, and then we'll get into how to put the amp in there and maybe do a sound test. So let's get to it.
So here's some friendly advice. If you're going to work on the trunk and you disconnect the battery, make sure you open the trunk first, then disconnect the battery. You want to make sure that you connect both terminals on your battery and turn on the headlights just to drain any current going through the system. I always like to make sure I put a towel or anything over the terminals. That way there's some added protection that they don't get touched. Alright, so here's my power wire to the amp right there. It's a 4 gauge. And then back here, I don't know if you can see it, there's my fuse right there. And then it runs all the way to the back, and it goes through the firewall here. I'm eventually gonna cut that to where it sits perfect, and then the wire runs all the way down underneath the door sills. My ground wire is a 4 gauge and it's grounded to the back seat bolts. All right, so what I'm also gonna do is I found an intact battery cover. So I'll notch out something here for the power wire. So what I have for my system are two 10-inch Rockford Fosgate punch. I had them before I even had my first Scion, and they're still really good. They're about 400 watt each. The amp that I have is 1,000 watts, so there's a little bit of extra in there, but I don't want to blow the speakers out or anything. I just want that good bass. All right, so what I'm also going to install here are these banana plugs. So I just basically had the wires right here into the holes and tighten them up, but this would be easier to actually take the wires off if I wanted to disconnect the box and move it. So the reason why I'm adding a new amp is because, like I said before, I've had those speakers for about 15 years and they still work fine. Now the amp I have in here, it's a Rockford Fosgate amp. I believe it's 600 watts, and I've had that amp has gone through so many cars. It's been on a boat. It's pretty beat up, and it stopped working about a couple weeks ago. So yeah, look at that. That is an old used Rockford Fosgate amp. And I gotta tell you, man, this gave me a lot of bass. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off all the speaker wires. We're gonna take off the ground and positive and remote wire as well. So now we're gonna switch over to the Rockville. So for the wiring, I have 4 gauge going from the battery all the way here to the back. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add the speaker wire and the positive, ground, and remote wire. All right, so now we're gonna add the banana plugs onto our speaker wire. All right, so we'll grab the little plastic washer. We'll put it over like so. And you gotta make sure that the flat end goes towards the bottom because it'll squeeze the top end once you screw it on. All right, just like that. And then if you'll notice, the little needle will go into the speaker wire like so. And then you'll tighten it on. Just like that. And then that'll plug into your speaker terminals on the back of the box. There you go. So now that we've connected all the wiring, I put the RCA cables in, the remote wire from the radio to the amp, which tells it to turn it on and off, the ground wire, the positive power wire from the battery to the amp. We have our positive and negative speaker wire that will go into our 2 subwoofers.
Well, there you have it. We've added the Rockville amp into the Scion XB. I've put the link in the description. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace!